Downstairs. That's incredible, isn't it? Hearing her say this, she and I both looked down. She then, with a worried expression, murmured, "Is it safe?" I understood her worry, so I tightly held her hand, hoping to give her some comfort. I realized there was no need to hold back my overwhelming emotions anymore. "It's going to be okay." When I assured her of this, she joyfully hugged me. I tenderly hugged her back. It took quite a long time before I could hold her in my arms like this. Feeling the love transmitted skin to skin, I knew this was the moment I had been longing for. My name is Mike. I was born into a typical family, living with my mom and dad. I was a shy and quiet child, but I entered my rebellious phase around middle school. I wished I could have been just a cheeky one, but unfortunately, it was rather severe. My quiet dad and I spoke even less, and my relationship with my mom became strained. Whenever I opened my mouth, I would spew abusive words at my mom and sometimes just continue to ignore her. I skipped school without permission and had unauthorized sleepovers at friends' houses. But my mom would scold me at times and patiently listen to me at other times. We occasionally had verbal fights, but she never once rejected who I was as a person. Looking back, she really was a wonderful mom. One day, I was wandering around the nighttime city streets, following a delinquent senior. My mom, who had been looking for me, found me there. Mom and Dad apparently searched for me until midnight since I didn't come home. Honestly, I was a bit moved that my mom would do anything for me. But it was embarrassing to have my seniors know my mom was looking for me, and it was embarrassing to show my emotions to my mom. So, that day, I shook off my mom's attempts to take me home and ran away. In the end, I didn't return home but stayed at the senior's house. However, the next day, I deeply regretted it. When I woke up at the senior's house, I saw numerous missed calls on my cell phone. There were dozens of calls from my dad. With a bad feeling, I reluctantly called my dad back. Despite the many calls, my dad was calm. "You know the general hospital near home, right? Come here. No need to rush. Your mom's waiting, but take your time," he said. But his voice was clearly strained, and contrary to his words, I rushed to the hospital after hearing I didn't need to. I hurriedly caught a taxi and rushed to the hospital. My mom was sleeping, covered with a white cloth. It seemed she was hit by a drunk driver on her way back from looking for me. If I had come back with her, if she didn't have to go looking for me, if I hadn't acted out so foolishly, I blamed myself and withdrew from the world. Tears wouldn't come out. I simply closed the curtains, spending the day gazing into the pitch-black space. At that time, I was supposed to be preparing for high school entrance exams, but I didn't take them. My kind dad silently watched over me, daily placing food he struggled to cook in front of my room. Despite losing someone important, he never blamed me, the cause of it, even once. I didn't know how to respond to his kindness. After realizing the magnitude of my actions and their irrevocability, the feeling of despair grew day by day. One day, the president of the food production company where my mom worked visited. My mom, it seemed, worked as an executive assistant at the company dealing mainly with condiments. I knew she worked at a food production company, but I never thought she would be bustling about as an executive assistant. The president spoke of my mom's work ethic outside my room. He would come around every other day to share fond memories of my mom, despite his busy schedule. About a week into this routine, he said, "Your mom used to say she was proud of you." I had been quietly listening until then, but at his words, I involuntarily dashed out of my room to confront him. "That can't be true. I am just a childish brat who skips school and rebels against parents and teachers. Proud of me. That must be your consolation. There's no way my mom thought that. She must have been disgusted by me. Don't fabricate things." To my outburst, the president just smiled. It's true. Your mom had difficulty having children. She wanted to experience all the facets of parenthood, to hold her child, travel together, have parent-child arguments, be called old lady during rebellious phases. Behind the president, my dad was nodding, his eyes brimming with tears. I was at a loss for words. Wanting to be called old lady and to have arguments. When I asked, is it okay if I go through a rebellious phase, your mom said, rebellious phase is just expressing oneself to the parents, right? Experiencing the assertions of a child is something only a mom can truly understand and face directly. Of course, the good times are important, but I also want to experience those troublesome times. Experiencing that is a parent's privilege. I was recalling my mom. She was talking about you just a bit before the accident occurred, mentioning you are in full-blown rebellion phase. But experiencing such things makes me feel that he has grown. My son lets me experience various things as a mom. He truly is a son to be proud of. That's what your mom said, with a smile on her face. For the first time, I understood my mom's deep love for me, and I couldn't stop my tears. I crouched, weeping, comforted by the president in front of my room. My dad was also there, watching over me. From that day, I stopped being a recluse. Knowing my mom's thoughts made me want to face forward. Invited by the president, I started working at a subcontractor factory of his food production company. He told me I could aim to take high school exams while working or pursue something else I might find. He provided a place for me until I could find my dream. But still, without a dream at that time, I devoted myself to the job at hand. Everyone in the factory, including the president, knew my circumstances, and they were strict but kind. Since I didn't take the high school exams, everyone took turns helping me study during breaks. In the workplace with many older people, I met a girl of my age. Her name was Hannah. Hannah, 2 years my senior, also didn't finish high school. Coming from a poor family, she gave up her education to work so her younger brother could study. Despite being only 2 years apart, Hannah worked so hard. Even though her circumstances were far from ideal, Hannah always remained cheerful and positive, never showing any sign of bitterness or defiance. She often lifted my spirits. 3 years after starting to work in the factory, Hannah made a proposal to me. I'm not great at studying, but you, Mike, you pick things up so fast, don't you? Why don't you try taking the high school equivalency exam? I'm sure it'll benefit you in the future. Encouraged by the words of Hannah and by the people at the factory who taught me, I took the high school equivalency exam. And I passed it with flying colors. When I showed the passing notice to Hannah, she beamed with joy. I guess that's what people mean when they say someone has a blooming smile. At that moment, I realized I had feelings for Hannah. I was promoted to a full-time employee when I turned 20. And by the time I was 23, I was called to the main office. Hannah and I were still in touch, but our relationship didn't progress. It seemed like Hannah saw me as a family member or a younger brother, so I didn't have the courage to confess my feelings to her. She started attending night high school after successfully sending her brother to college. Actually, having at least a high school diploma was a condition for becoming a full-time employee in this company. Hannah aimed to become a full-time employee after obtaining her high school diploma. When I was to move to the main office, she was more delighted by my promotion than I was. Amazing. Keep it up. I'll do my best too. Hannah, who always supports people straightforwardly, seemed indeed a wonderful woman. I then accumulated achievements in the sales department of the main office and served as a section chief. Hannah retired when she got married at 27. It was shocking, but it was my fault for not having the courage to tell my feelings. Hannah didn't have a wedding, so I never met her husband, but she seemed very happy. Seeing her smile, blessing her was the only option for me. After turning 30, it was decided that I would be transferred as the head to the HR department, a department with only highly educated people. This transfer, where a young punk like me would go to a department full of highly educated people, was unprecedented. I was taken in by the president, and I had been doing my best to handle the tasks at hand. I had always wanted to live a life that wouldn't shame my mom. I managed to get here with the help of the people around me. I had nothing but gratitude for everyone who had supported me up until now. Finally, my first day as a department head arrived. However, I was suddenly made aware of the unhealthy mindset of this department. I was asked by the section chief of the new department about which university I graduated from. Since it wasn't something to hide, I honestly said, I dropped out of junior high. Before I could tell him that I had obtained my high school equivalency after joining the company, he immediately started looking down on me. Junior high dropout, are you sure you're in the right place? Everyone here is highly educated. I don't need a junior high dropout as my subordinate. Please, leave. It seems that he thought I was another employee who was transferred on the same day. I was pissed off at the section chief's disdainful attitude. The people at the factory and Hannah who saved me may not have been highly educated, but they were all wonderful people. Feeling looked down upon because of lower education felt like those people were also being looked down upon. I don't need a subordinate who discriminates based on educational background either. Subordinate. The perplexed section chief and I faced each other. I've been assigned here from today. I only had a middle school diploma when I joined the company, but with everyone's support, I earned my high school diploma. I've proven my capabilities, and here, I will be the department head, so I'll be your superior. The color drained from the section chief's face, and he apologized in a faint voice. However, actually, judging people by their educational background wasn't unique to this section chief. In this human recourse department, known for collecting highly educated individuals, many shared a discriminatory view based on educational background, like the section chief. The president himself appointed me as the head of this department, probably for that reason. It seems the president has always wanted to put an end to the discriminatory view based on educational backgrounds within the company. So, even though I joined with only a middle school diploma, he appointed me, having proven my worth, as the new head of the HR department. I want a workplace where capable individuals are recognized, regardless of their educational background, the president told me. From then on, I proceeded with reforms under the president's instructions. Scouting talent for the HR department, irrespective of their educational background, was also part of it. I would identify potential candidates and the president would interview them, and if they had the president's approval, they were welcomed into the HR department. My reunion with Hannah was during one such talent search. I found Hannah, who was supposed to have resigned to get married, in another department. When I heard about an excellent employee, I checked the employee list and found out it was Hannah. Hannah and I met at a cafe after work to talk. It turns out, Hannah had divorced her husband and returned to the company. Apparently, her husband's bad drinking habits were the reason for the divorce. I could have supported you if you had told me, I said, to which Hannah smiled weakly. I wanted to tell you, Mike, but I didn't want to worry you. Hannah, who spoke so, didn't have her usual brightness or smile. I could feel how painful her marriage had been, and it saddened me. I told Hannah that I want to support her from now on, and she should consult me about anything. I believe Hannah is the talent needed to change the current HR department, but whether to welcome Hannah to the HR department or not was up to the president. As a result of the interview with the president, recognizing Hannah's abilities and humanity, it was decided she would join the HR department. Initially, Hannah, who, like me, only had a high school diploma, was not readily accepted by the others. However, With her diligent work and steadily accumulated achievements, others gradually began to open up to her. We, together, laid a good foundation for a workplace unrelated to educational backgrounds. Hannah seemed to regain her spirits, seemingly well suited for the job in the HR department. Watching her regain her sparkle, I, too, found my long-sealed feelings for Hannah rekindled. By this time, Hannah and I had started meeting privately as well. We lived near each other, so it was just casual dinners or me giving her rides home after work. We weren't dating. But one day, an incident occurred. It was a day off, late at night, when I received an urgent call from Hannah. "Help me." I rushed to Hannah's house to find a man banging on her apartment door, calling out her name. I called the police and had the man taken away and protected Hannah. After the police restrained the man, Hannah came out of the house, trembling with fear, and clung to me. My heart raced as I stayed by Hannah's side while she spoke with the police officer. Since it was already late at night, we decided to talk more about it the next day. I urged Hannah, who was still scared, inside the house. And I adhered to Hannah's wish to stay with her since she was scared. Unexpectedly, due to the incident, I was spending the first night with my beautiful colleague I had feelings for. I was a bit nervous. Hannah began to speak, seeming apologetic. "I'm sorry for dragging you into this. I should have called the police directly. I ended up calling you impulsively." I hurriedly assured her it was no problem. "I'm glad you relied on me. I wanted to be there for you if you ever needed help." We then heard voices from the entrance of the apartment. Looks like onlookers are still around since the police came earlier. Downstairs, "That's incredible, isn't it?" Hearing her say this, she and I both looked down. She then, with a worried expression, murmured, "Is it safe?" I understood her worry, so I tightly held her hand, hoping to give her some comfort. I strongly felt I wanted to protect her. I realized that there was no longer any need to restrain my overflowing affection for her. "It's okay, I'm here." When I assured her of this, she joyfully hugged me. I tenderly hugged her back. Finally, I told my feelings to her that I had harbored for so many years. It took quite a long time before I could hold her in my arms like this. Feeling the love transmitted skin to skin, I knew this was the moment I had been longing for. This is how we started dating. My relationship with Hannah progressed smoothly, and I proposed to her on her 33rd birthday. She nodded, with the same radiant smile as when we first met. For our marriage greetings, Hannah and I went to meet the president and the factory workers. Everyone genuinely congratulated us on our marriage. The section chief, who used to look down on me due to my educational background, has become a good partner at work, and I thanked him again. "Thanks to being underestimated by you, we could build an organization unrelated to educational background, and I could reunite with Hannah." The section chief gave a wry smile to my words. "Please stop. That's my dark past. I've changed my heart. I will never look down on people because of their education again." I couldn't help but laugh at his words. The section chief agreed to give a speech at our wedding. At the wedding, I want to express my gratitude to my parents who raised me, the president who took me in, the factory workers who watched over my studies, and my current colleagues.